Could the Rangers have two of the best 20-something prospects in the game? They've already got one of them. What are the chances of getting number two? We talk about prospects and so much more as we get you started now on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Almost called it the Rangers Prodcast, which is sort of a mix between podcast and prospect. But there's a couple of great prospects right there. Not prospects, prospects. And they are possibly teammates in the future. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about so much more as we welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios. We welcome you into the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, I'm Rads with Abs. That's Abby Jones and J-Dub. That's Jeff Wilson there. The Prophet over there doing double duty again. We appreciate him so much. No, he's not doing Cowboys today. He's eating lunch and doing the show, and that is a talented man over there. So we appreciate him. We appreciate you, and we ask you to like us and subscribe to us. And please, please chat along with us as we talk prospects. We're going to talk a lot about Marcus Semien today. What will the Rangers do in free agency to acquire another bat, more hitting? We talk about that. And, of course, we've got our batting cleanup segment. It's all coming up. But for now, our first order of business is to find out if Jeff's birthday got any better. Because we talked about it yesterday. It was his birthday. He turned 50 yesterday. 50. And he started the day by cleaning up dog poop in the backyard.
Yeah, that was fun.
So please tell me it got better.
It did.
Good.
The TCU show was a little bit of an adventure with guests having to cancel or push back, but we made it through, and I was so happy to leave here. And drove home and just kind of sat around. I didn't really do a lot. We got a sick kid, and they did give me some presents, which was nice. Had a couple people stop by. A couple comedians that got me some some Metamucil gummies and some arthritis cream and stuff like that. Everybody's a comedian, but
everybody's funny when you turn 50.
We had a good time, and I got a nice pair of Jordans
nice.
for my birthday. I've never had a pair. I love of Jordans, or no.
Wow.
Well, I might have had a pair of Jordans when I was like 10. When right when he came on the scene.
Yeah.
But I love all white shoes, and it traces back to All-Star games when I was 10. Players at the MLB All-Star game always wore white shoes. Like, they came out, that's one thing that I just remember about these games. They came out in these beautiful, brand new white shoes, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. And now, 40,
all these years
40
later.
years later,
Yeah.
I still love the white shoe because of that.
See, that's funny because I've got a pair of baseball shoes that are good for red dirt. Not one white pair.
No?
No.
Well, that's the thing.
Those are my basketball shoes.
Yeah, I was about to say white shoes out on a warning track or some such.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Trouble. But I guess we'll start calling him a new nickname, Jeff White Shoes Johnson.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or Willie White Shoes Johnson.
Yeah, I got the reference.
Jeff White Shoes.
I didn't, but
I'm not gonna do the dance.
The
though.
dance.
No.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk baseball. Let's talk prospects. I thought this was great. MLB Pipeline did a ranking of the best prospect at each age from 16 to 26. And the first thing you think of is a 26-year-old still a prospect? Yes. In some cases, they are. They're fighting their way through the minor leagues, and they are still a prospect. So they ranked them from 16 to 26, and the Rangers were prominent on that list. And number one among the 24-year-olds was probably not a surprise, Kumar Rocker. And again, you're a prospect until you've completed your first year, your rookie year in the big leagues?
There are levels where you lose your rookie status, and I think it's 140,
Okay.
150 plate appearances. I don't remember the innings, maybe 50 innings.
I think it's 50. I'll double
But
check.
anyway, and he is still a rookie, even though he debuted
50.
this year. Did not come close to 50 innings. Going back to the Do It for Dirt event, I played with Mike Maddox, and we rode around for 4 or 5 hours together. And whenever it's weird, whenever Mike and I see each other outside of the ballpark, we very rarely talk about baseball.
Baseball, yeah.
We're having a good time doing whatever. But I did ask him. I said, "Hey, do you like Rocker?" He goes, "Oh yeah." So that's all I needed. He'll tell me sometimes. I ask him a guy's like, he won't, like a free agent or at the trade deadline. Would you rather have? I asked him in 23. Would you rather have Montgomery or Jack Flaherty? And he wanted Montgomery. And so anyway, he has the Mike Maddox seal of approval. It appears, and that's a pretty good seal to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good check. Feather to have in your cap, I guess. But he's going to be part of the rotation, hopefully for a long time, and it'll be fun to see. But 24. He's basically lost 2 years.
Right.
He could have been in the majors a while ago. But all these guys come with their own age, their own path. Every path is different, and Rocker's path will almost certainly on opening day have him on the major league roster.
Mm-hmm. Small sample size, 11 2/3 innings pitched in 2024, but we knew his arsenal: the four-seam fastball, the slider, the sinker, the change, the curve. Use that slider a lot, and I think he's going to work through this offseason. It got exposed a little bit, so just making those adjustments. We saw him try to make the adjustments in real time in his last 2 starts, and again, it was a small sample size, but against righties at least, they were hitting 222 on the sinker. So, not too bad when you only pitch 95 pitches charted. That's a pretty good percentage. Improvements there. In my head, though, I was thinking about the old school game, the Rock'em Sock'em game.
I like it.
Because how crazy would it be to have Rocker and Sasaki on the team? And I actually think that, what they offer kind of complements each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sasaki, the number 1 23-year-old prospect, and more on him in just 1 second. But first, a little more on Rocker in that we remember, look, every sample size that he's had thus far has been a small sample size. He wasn't in AA for very long. He was in AAA for a couple of games, right? Every place he's been, other than Vanderbilt in high school, has been a fairly small sample size. But that said, those guys in AA didn't make the adjustments, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the difference. That shows how good the big league hitters are, how good their scouting is. And they did. After one game when he was getting people with that wipeout slider, we remember guys laying off it. Mm-hmm. And that was the game. And he admits he was trying a little bit too hard in that game.
Is that the home debut?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He only made 3 starts, pitched 11 2/3 innings, but there are definitely things that he picked up on. He in his second start, the home debut, he was trying to, as you'll recall, work on his fastball command by taking velocity off of it. And Mike Maddox had to go out there and say, "No, just throw the ball," and he did. So that's a lesson learned. But the command has to be there. He wasn't happy with his curveball, is what he calls it. It has a slider characteristics, but he wasn't happy with the pitch. If it's a ball coming out of the hand, major league hitters aren't going to chase it. It's just that simple. And so he has to find the command for all of his pitches. AA and AAA hitters aren't there yet. Some of them aren't, and they are gonna chase it. They're not going to be able to recognize the pitches, especially when you see guys who Wyatt Langford's a prime example. Don't spend any time in the minor leagues. You saw Dylan Cruz from the Nationals. He was the number 2 overall pick in 23, and he made his MLB debut this year for Washington. it just seems like these guys are moving faster and faster and faster and not getting the chance to
develop.
Get your 1,000 or 1,500
Sure.
minor league at bats.
It's unheard of anymore for a lot of guys.
Because reps are key.
Oh, no doubt.
And the reps are different, obviously, but it's, it's just the daily mental, physical, mechanical process of it.
Right. And those are adjustments adjustments, I guess, that Kumar will have to make next year, right? Those are all the things, the daily grind, the 162-game schedule, all those things he's never been a part of. And certainly, we heard about it at the end of the season, or maybe really toward the end of the season with Wyatt, right? Boach told him, stop swinging so much.
Yeah.
You're swinging too much.
And the disadvantage.
Right? And he did, and it helped him. He had a great September.
The disadvantage for players realistically, because they want their clock to start and all these things, but the disadvantage for guys like Wyatt, guys like Kumar, is that when they are exposed, it's at a huge platform and it's typically blown out of proportion because fans are like, oh, this guy's not who we thought he was. And it's like, well, if he would have had the chance to work through this on a smaller scale in AAA, he could have kind of done it quietly and made those adjustments. And scout, the important people know, but it's not like a thing in the media. I mean, I felt for Wyatt Langford the first part of the season because he couldn't hit a home run, and everybody's like, "Oh, this guy was hitting so many bombs in spring training, and now it's the real season, and where's the home run?" And it's like, all right, first of all, you go do it, and then second of all, give him some time. It's his first time in major league, so advantages and disadvantages. But reps are huge.
Yeah, they're absolutely huge. So we mentioned it, Sasaki, the number one 23-year-old prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. And again, we've talked about it a lot. The Rangers definitely have a chance. Anybody who has paid any attention to the Rangers know that this team has a chance. I do find it interesting. Again, all 30 teams are eligible because this guy's only subjected to the international bonus pool money. So every team has some of that. And so, like, I was looking at our brethren from Chicago, the CHGO show. One of their bullet points on their Cubs show was Sasaki. What are the chances? Everybody is talking in every baseball market about the chance of getting Sasaki. We happen to know how close the Rangers have been to him since high school. We happen to know how close the Rangers, have remained to him to the point that in September, both their GM now, Ross Fenstermaker, and their president of baseball operations now, Chris Young, visited him in fairly late September.
Yeah, the club was in Seattle. Chris hung around for Rocker's debut and left that night or the next morning. Missed DeGrom's debut, but he saw the Rocker debut, or maybe it was vice versa. Whatever. It was middle September when he went, and then Ross went or at the end of the season, I think over the last road trip, and stayed for a week. He stayed longer than Chris. So it's, other teams have done it too. He's not the Rangers aren't alone in that. But again, as we've kind of talked about here a few times now, the Rangers They have some notches in their belt over there in Japan, and their scouts, two main scouts, Joe Furukawa and Hajime Watabe, have been there and been together for a while. So these guys are known entities. Josh Boyd has probably been to Japan more than Ross and Chris Young combined. So it's a there's a presence, and people are. Maybe people are hedging their bets now, and by people I mean like national media, by saying there's a chance Sasaki's not going to sign with the Dodgers, and here's why. And but it just feels like kind of the Rangers are overlooked. One of the bookies,
per usual,
did a the odds, and the Dodgers were the favorites, and all the people you'd think were the favorites. The Rangers were 14-1. I might put some money down on that. That sounds like it might be worth a little $20 or $25.
And that was probably quite a ways down the list, 14-1.
Yeah, I mean
right?
it was more toward the top, but it was not. They weren't like the fourth betting favorite. There were a lot of teams ahead of them. They really do. They really have a chance if you can get a meeting, get Chris Young in that room, and let him talk to Sasaki as a former pitcher.
Be the closer.
and get it done. So again, I think this has to be done by December 15th. The winter meetings are right before that, so maybe Sasaki does his interviews then. I don't know that Thanksgiving would deter anybody from meeting with them, but we do have that Thanksgiving week that might kind of be a wild card there. So anyway, it's got to get done by the middle of December, and then I think if Sasaki's going to hold up things like Otani and Yamamoto did last year, then right after the winter meetings, things could really accelerate.
I know that we've got to get to ads, but I feel like we've been talking a lot about Sasaki and the hype, but I don't feel like we've really ran through why there's so much hype, like in a very logistic scenario. So I have some numbers that I kind of want to run through, like a little player profile. So over his 4 seasons in Japan, a 2.02 ERA. He has 11 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched, 2 walks per 9 innings pitched, and then 6 hits given up per 9. Over 4 seasons, his fastball can hit triple digits, 102, averages 98.8. Spin set, he has one of the best splitters ever seen. They kind of call that his national pitch. He kills the spin with it. It comes out of his hand looking like his heater, but it falls off on the table. He has an incredibly impressive whiff rate with that pitch at 54%. And to put that into perspective, MLB average was 34%. So if you compare that to the league with pitchers with 100 swings on a splitter, he's second. And
Wow.
The person ahead of him with the whiff rate is Fernando Cruz with 59.3. So it's really impressive when you're not even in the league and when your numbers are kind of put comparatively, you're leading the way, or second to the way. And then a slider, third pitch, they say it's like a little bit above average, but it's 83 to 85 miles an hour. And then he has still a miss rate of 40% on that. So, we've got a few guys with pretty good pitches, but that splitter is going to be a pretty gross one for any opposing batter.
Couple more prospects we'll be talking about in the next segment because we want to get to those. They have Rangers or Texas ties anyway. We'll do that. We'll also talk about what the Rangers might do with regard to getting more offense in here in the free agent market. That's coming up, as well as our Marcus Semien profile. It's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. First, I got to tell you, I did what I said I was going to do. I took a Z-Biotic, drank a Z-Biotic prior to the golf
trip,
2 football game outing. And it made me so much better for Monday morning, right? You start drinking at 2:20, and you kind of keep drinking until halftime of the game. Yeah, it's a long time. It's not like I'm guzzling.
That game was a little shaky too.
It was, yeah.
It was all the way up until the last second.
That Lions game went down to a last-second field goal. So anyway, I can't emphasize enough how great of an idea this pre-alcohol drink is. That's what Z-Biotic is. It's a pre-alcohol drink invented by PhDs. What it does basically is they figured out that there's this terrible poison, really, that the alcohol, your system kind of metabolizes the alcohol into it. So drink a Z-Biotic and avoid all of that. 10% off, zbiotics.com.
Actually, 15.
/DLLS Rangers.
15% off.
15%.
Off. Thank you.
All right. Roback is doing a sale, but if you use our code, it's a sale all year long because either way, it's 20%. So Roback is performance polos. They have a great selection that they can offer. They have a game day selection too. Seems to be pretty SEC heavy. But you can look stylish while you're at a tailgate, while you're at the park, while you're on the course. Anything that you need, Roback is the best. It's quality gear that speaks for itself. And they also have a selection for the colder months. It's cooling down here, so you need some hoodies, pullovers, all of those things. Softest materials as well. So go to Roback, think of John Radigan, because RHOBACK outdoors.com, DLLS 20 for 20% off.
Yeah. All right. So back to the prospects talk now. And I just did want to mention one thing about, and Jeff, you were talking about the national people kind of overlooking the Rangers' chances when it comes to Sasaki. Any national pundit you see writing about this on MLB or anywhere else, man, they never mention the Rangers, which is fine. You know, you kind of like, wait, we're just waiting over here. We're real quietly waiting in the weeds, and bam, we're going to strike, right? We're going to spring on them. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Sasaki. Now, in the 20-year-old category, MLB Pipeline ranked the best prospect, as we said, from age 16 all the way to age 26. In the 20-year-old category, the runner-up, the 18-year-old category, the runner-up was Sebastian Walcott.
Very talented guy, tall, strong, athletic. He plays shortstop. You know, there's a question if he'll stick there, but he cleaned up the defense a lot this season. He had a rough first month at High A Hickory. Hickory will be the low A club in 2025, but at High A, it was rough for about 5 weeks. And then if you look at his numbers from let's say May the 10th on, just fabulous. The guy can play, and he is a young 18. He was, you know, his birthday is I think March 14th. He's a big deal. You know, the Rangers signed him for around $3 million out of the Bahamas, brought him to the United States right away. I mean, you know, he played a lot of select ball in Florida, which, you know, isn't far from the Bahamas, and his family lived there at times. He's a smart kid. He's a polite kid. You know, maybe a little bit too confident at times, as you might expect for a guy who's that good. But he's going to be a major leaguer, and you know, Baseball America, I think, at their mid-season ranking or whatever, have him as a right fielder eventually. And hey, maybe, but you know, and we had him on. John Moore and I had him on our weekly podcast toward the end of the minor league season. He joined us from Amarillo, and you know, you can just take a look and see how much he's changed, how much more comfortable he is in the United States. Just after 1 year, you know, our first interview with him was at spring training when he was still 16. He turned 17 the next week, and you know, some of these young guys, it's like pulling teeth to get answers out of him. So, but in the course of a year, he became just this guy who was very comfortable with who he is and what he is. He's going to be a player, and the Rangers are very excited to have him. And you know, another thing about him moving positions is, you know, Corey Seager's the shortstop.
Yeah.
So you know,
he's going to have to move.
He's going to have to move somewhere. He played some third this year. They still haven't moved him to the outfield yet, but they're getting there. But Sebastian Walcott's a great player.
Yeah, no doubt. And I kept doing it upstairs when we were preparing too. I keep thinking of him as a 20-year-old because he's so accomplished.
Yeah.
But he's 18.
Right.
I mean, he's got a lot of growing to do, and is one of those guys. I mean, he's not going to make it to the big leagues probably as a teenager, but he can be a 20-year-old in the big leagues.
You know, so he is 18. He's still probably growing a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
He was born in 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
Apparently his mother is like 6'2".
Okay, and how tall is he?
His dad is...
He's 6'4".
His dad is
6'4", is big.
6'5" or 6'6", played like semi-pro basketball in the Bahamas. So it's a big family. He has an older brother who plays in junior college in Florida. Another you know, big lad. So it's just, and then the family, they're great people. It's kind of the complete package. You know, that a lot of people, you know, when you go into like international scouting, you know, when you're scouting internationally, you know, one thing that gets overlooked is education. And because, you know, a lot of these kids in the Dominican really don't go to school very seriously. Now, I'm not saying they're dumbasses or anything like that, but sometimes they lack maturity. Sometimes they lack the discipline. Whereas like a kid from Curacao, where education's a little bit more of a focus, and where they speak multiple languages, and you know, in Sebastian's case, the Bahamas, close enough to commute back and forth from Florida. You got to look into that, and you look into the family too. You know, and what structure did they have? You know, Nomar Mazara's dad. Was
military.
in the Dominican Navy, and I know that this always drives people crazy because, you know, there aren't generals in the United States Navy, but Nomar always said that his dad was a general in the Navy. Maybe that's just the way they do it in in the Dominican. But the fact of the matter is, Nomar went to school. Ronald Guzman, his parents were a teacher. I think both teachers. They made him graduate before he could sign his Rangers contract.
Wow.
So it just depends on where you come from. But part of the makeup thing that the Rangers love, Sebastian checks all those boxes.
That's fantastic. And that's a another guy, bright future. When you have this many young prospects on that list, that's really good. Now, here's the 16-year-old, and then we'll move on to free agent bats. But here's the 16-year-old. He is Grady Emerson, and he's from Argyle High School, which is just an amazing thing. He's 16, and he was one of only two people from the class of 26. So he's a junior in high school right now. One of only two people from the class of 26 who were selected to be on the U18 Team USA. Again, obviously, most of them are seniors this year. Mm-hmm. He is one of two that was selected as a junior and just before his junior year in high school. Pretty big accomplishment, and a guy who has tremendous upside. Right now, shortstop, middle infielder. But again, somebody who's that athletic certainly could move around if they ever needed him to. Not to say he's going to be a Ranger, because in his draft year, he's projected to be, a very high, 1 or 2 draft pick.
Yeah,
he's committed to TCU, Jeff.
Yeah, there you go. Good for Kirk Sarlo. It's going to be might be a little hard to keep him if he gets drafted first overall.
Yeah,
but our area produces tons and tons of players. I mean, all right, Bobby Witt Jr. All right,
say no more. Yeah.
Jordan Lawler. These are Lawler. I think was the 6th overall pick. Bobby was the 2nd overall pick. I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'm going to stop right there. But there's so much talent here. Probably not as much as Florida and California, but still a ton of baseball talent. And in Mansfield, their quarterback, his name is Braxton Von Cleve. He's one of the best baseball players in the state. He's committed to Kentucky, but he may get a chance. He's a left-handed hitting outfielder. Hey, if he has a good senior year, which he's gonna, he may end up going to going straight to the majors. So, or not to the majors, but to professional baseball. It's just, there's somebody there. And the thing that I always tell kids, a scout's going to find you.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're good,
cream always rises.
A scout is going to find you. The Walter Pennington story is a pretty good one, because he was pitching for the Colorado School of Mines. Not far from my hometown. I have a lot of friends that went to mines. They're all like geologists and things like that. And Walt got discovered pitching in a summer league.
Yeah.
After he basically finished his eligibility, and a Royal Scout saw him pitch and went up to him after the game and said, "I'm so and so with the Royals. Would you be interested in signing with the Royals for this amount of money?" And Walt was like, "Well, yeah,
of course I would."
By me.
I'm at the Colorado School of Mines.
But he thought he was done. And all of a sudden, he's got a team interested in him, and next thing you know,
your dreams. Keep going.
Makes his major league debut this year. So.
I love this kid, Grady, because his Instagram name is Turn 2 Grady.
Nice. Yeah.
So he also has every accolade that he's ever won in his Instagram bio. So
well,
all right.
Humble,
when you're young,
humble king.
When you're young, it's kind of like, I hope everybody knows how great
actually, I think that's the thing, because with like high school football, and I worked with college recruiting for the football team when I was in college, and honestly, these young kids are really smart. They know how to recruit, showcase themselves. They will have it in their bio. I'm a 4-time, 4-star, this, that, and they will have all of their accolades and all their numbers. So props to them. They're just doing a little bit of, sales work.
Yes, it's
but Turn 2 Grady is a elite Instagram handle.
Yeah, the old saying is, you have to toot your own horn, because nobody else is going to toot it for you. So you make sure people know you, and then you let your play. In the case of this young man, you let your play do the talking.
If he goes, first round, then hey.
Yeah. Then he doesn't have to put that 4A player of the year with
he'll erase everything. He's good.
Doesn't become quite as important. All right, we didn't get to the sticks yet, but we will. And we're also going to talk about Marcus Semien. And we've also got updates on so many things, including where the Tampa Bay Rays will play next year.
Oh, I got some good stuff on that.
Oh, that's very good. It's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
FOCO time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. FOCO is a great place for the best sports gear around, but they have more than gear. They've got signs and bobbleheads. You can take a look behind me over, what is this, my left shoulder, right over Abby's head. See a lot of the stuff that is on our bookshelves back there was brought to us by FOCO. They gave it to us to direct to design our set. So get fitted in the best out gear or sports gear around. Going to a basketball hockey game, show off your love with team branded friendship bracelets. John's getting him a pair of overalls, Lions overalls. There's
might get a friendship bracelet
There's something
too.
for almost every occasion. All right, so go check out foco.com or click the link in the description. For all non-presale items, use the code DLLS10 for 10% off.
And we're going to talk about our friends at Rugged Road.
Ooh.
Because it's multi-use. We've talked about the little leak in the roof. So, hey, if you need to collect some water, there you go. But also, if you need to store some PBJs for... You got any soccer games or baseball games this weekend?
We do have baseball if Henry is well.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you would need a Rugged Road cooler. Take that bad boy because it will keep your stuff cold for 7 days.
7 days.
That's a full week.
Wow.
Full week, but even longer too. It is floatable. It has a lightweight design, durable and dependable, and versatile. You can take it fishing, tubing, camping, tailgating, at the ballpark, all of the things and more. Rugged Road, land or water, great craftsmanship, and they perform to your toughest conditions. So take it on a little camping trip. Use our code Rugged Road Outdoors for DLLS 10% off.
Yeah, the hardware on that thing is unbelievable. It really is. You need to get one, see it to believe it. It's some of the best hardware I've ever seen. So now we are going to talk about Marcus Semien. And then when we run out of things to say about Marcus, we'll do these. We've talked about the free agent bats
You really can't
before,
run out of things to say
but
about
really
Marcus,
we
though.
can't. But if we do, we'll get to those free agent bats a little later. If we do, and I think we will. But let's talk about Marcus. We call this Now Batting. It's like our buddy Chuck Morgan.
Uh-huh.
Now batting, Marcus Semien. Shortstop, Marcus Semien. And
Second base
base.
now. Shortstop earlier in his career. Second base.
Yeah, that's right.
To be.
He
That's
can
right.
play shortstop.
Yeah, he's
To
a
be.
good. I still think of him as shortstop. He's so good. And he, by the way, Chuck patterned his after the great Bob Shepard in New York. So that's a pretty cool thing too. But anyway, let us now batting Marcus Semien. So much to talk about.
Mr. Dependable.
Yeah, 159 games this past year. 159 games, I think, in each of the last 6 full seasons, which is pretty amazing.
It's solid.
Nobody does that anymore.
He's getting around 650 at bats a year, 6,539 plate appearances in his 12 seasons.
Yeah, that works out to about a little over 500 a pop.
Yeah.
And then that probably includes his first couple seasons where he wasn't an everyday
Right.
player. Including the postseason last year. And if we go back to 23, he set a major league record for the most plate appearances in a calendar year. Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I guess it didn't include spring training, but including the playoffs, it was a huge number, like 835 or 885. It was nuts. The best ability is availability. He's definitely that. I spoke to him at the end of the season in Anaheim, and trying to gather stuff, which I have. And he said, the question is, what do you want to work on? He didn't have a great year. All right.
No.
Marcus Semien did not have a great year. It was below his standards. I know he was up for some awards. He was a Silver Slugger finalist and whatnot. He did not win that, obviously, but he didn't get on base much. He didn't hit for much average. He didn't have a great season as a leadoff hitter. But he also is a power guy. He has enough power to hit 30 homers a season. He's done it before. And so the one thing he said he wanted to work on, not the one thing, but the first thing he said was, I want to hit the ball in the air more. And there's a reason for that, because when Marcus hits the ball in the air more, ball goes over the fence.
Good
a lot
things
more.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think we have a little graphic here on his career ground ball to fly ball ratio, and it's or percentages. And there you go, 30% fly ball rate this year. His ground ball rate was up. If you go to 2021, his only season in Toronto, he had a career high 46 homers, and he had a higher fly ball rate. Last 23 when he had the great season and
seems to be the highest.
Was the Silver Slugger winner, 35.4%. So this year down more. Whatever the cause for that slip is, he's ready to dig into it. He probably already is. So that's his goal, to hit the ball in the air more. That becomes especially more important if he is no longer the leadoff hitter. And that is something that Bruce Bochy did during the season last year, and talked to him during the exit interviews about doing more in 2025. And that's a big deal.
It is.
It is.
And it's a big deal to Marcus. And it's not something he wants to do, but it's something he absolutely will do as a good teammate, one of the best teammates out there. So he would, and he did this year, right? He 12 of the games, 159 games. He batted in the leadoff spot 147 times. So that means 12 times he wasn't. I think most of those he was down in the third spot in the order. And the reality is, if you remember there, kind of in late July, after the Rangers, just before the trade deadline, had kind of gotten back into things and made it to where it wasn't automatic that they should be sellers at the trade deadline. In fact, they were the opposite of that. But anyway, then he started to fade a little bit, and they were trying to juggle the lineup. The whole offense was struggling, and so they're just doing some things to shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, and it sounds silly to say, the weakness for him is when he gets behind, because there's a hitter's count and a pitcher's count for a reason.
Yeah.
But to put it in numbers, when he's behind, like a fastball, he's hitting 230. When he's behind, he's fallen into that 200 mark a little bit. Slider, he's 221. And then it goes down to 203 again when he's behind. So it's, there's things that you can take advantage of and pick up on your tendencies when you look through, your own scouting report. And they're all well aware of their strengths and weaknesses. But, being at that leadoff spot, Seager's behind him, but how great is Corey Seager at the first swing pitch,
Right.
Swing on the first pitch and stuff like that. So curious to see if his hitting buddy kind of, talks to him a little bit about just a more aggressive approach.
Well, can we look at that graphic one more time, Prophet? I would like to, because
and we have a spray chart.
I believe, Jeff, if we look back in 2000, I guess it was 19. I bet he had the talk, before, and again, 20 is such a weird year, but
20 doesn't really
let's say, but after 19, I bet look at that. That's a 41% of his hits were, ground balls, and only 25% were fly balls. And he probably did the same thing then, and mentally, you know what? I need to get this changed. I need to work around it. And then, of course, that 21 season, that was the year that he was in Toronto and hit all those bombs. So I think what that tells me is this: if he concentrates on something and works hard on something, it'll happen.
Curiously, you could say that 19's one of the best seasons of his career.
I know it.
He did hit 33 home runs that year, despite having the low ground ball rate. So he probably had a really good hard contact rate, or barrel rate, as they like to say. He had 33 homers and 43 doubles. As the A's shortstop was a finalist for the MVP. But yeah, if that 20 was 20, right?
Right.
Whatever happened in 20.
Yeah. And was he hitting
stays in
leadoff?
20.
Was he hitting leadoff for the A's?
Not always. He came to the Rangers and he wasn't their leadoff
Right.
in 22. 21, his big season, he had more games for the Blue Jays in the leadoff spot, but that's just because George Springer was injured.
Right.
He batted, when Springer was healthy, Simeon batted second. So it's I don't think he cares where the batting, where they are in the batting order.
No.
It is nice to be able to, one swing of the bat with your first batter and be ahead 1-0. that's a nice attribute. But you kind of look at his career on base percentage. It's only 323.
Yeah.
You think of leadoff hitters, you think of Ricky Henderson, and
Yeah.
390 or 400 career OBP. And so Josh Smith had a higher on base percentage. Does Josh Smith become the front runner to be the leadoff guy? You got to find a spot for Josh Smith to play. First of all, is he going to be the designated hitter to open this? The primary DH guy, Evan Carter, could stake a claim to it because he's really good against the fastball when he's healthy, and he has a terrific eye. And so you have options if you're Bruce Bochy. But the goal is to score more runs, obviously, and if it takes moving Marcus Semien to a spot where he's producing runs, if you put him behind Corey Seager, who you think is going to be on base a lot, really it puts one of your premium run producers in a spot where there's at least going to be one guy on base, with Semien, or with Seager. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely up in the air where he bats a lot this season.
What about defensively? What were your thoughts there? Because he notched 19 defensive outs above average, which was tied second most.
Yeah, that's
by any MLB player at any position.
Great. No complaints with the glove. The only reason he didn't win a Gold Glove is because Andres Jimenez with the Guardians had better numbers, which is hard to believe. So two great defensive players in the American League at the same position. So Marcus may have trouble getting a Gold Glove there, but his defense has vastly improved. I thought he won the Gold Glove in 21 with the Blue Jays, comes here in 22, and I didn't think he had a great defensive season. But the last two have been just rock solid. No complaints there. And then you do wonder though, the wear and tear. He only stole 8 bases this year. He's a guy that can steal you 20 or 30 bags. Now, a lot of that is because he doesn't want to run and open up a base for them to pitch around Corey Seager, which makes a ton of sense. But if the opportunity is there, it seems like he's a guy who should take some more bases.
He's a guy who you love as who he is. And here's what I loved. Through the year, he actually, again, he made the All-Star team, and he became only the second Rangers player ever to start in the home stadium as an All-Star, because Pudge Rodriguez did it in 95 and Marcus did it this year. Now, he was a starter because Jose Altuve was hurt and had to back out at the last minute.
Hurt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, hurt.
He didn't want his feelings to get hurt because he didn't want to get booed by Rangers
as an All-Star.
Hey, I didn't create this. All right, I heard this from Astros people. So he was
hurt. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. But that said, Marcus was the starter, but here's the big thing. He won the Heart and Hustle Award. He didn't bitch, right, about the fact that he wasn't having a good year, having a year the likes of which is he's unaccustomed to. He just went about his business and kept working. And I loved that about him. I absolutely loved that. And that's why, and so did his teammates, which is why, again, he's voted, and so did the, because it's the Players Association, right, that votes on the Heart and Hustle.
Yeah.
And so
MLB PAA.
Yeah. So he won it, he was Rangers' choice in 24, 23, won it in 21, won it in 19, won it in 16. It's the 5th time the guy's won the Heart and Hustle Award.
Yeah.
He's a ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
But he's a pro. Marvin Miller Man of the Year, which is a very prestigious deal given out by the Players Association and voted on by his peers. You win that because a lot of people respect you and what you do off the field and on it. So he's a stud there. And there's a comment for Ardell. He is a consummate professional. You do expect him to rebound, and there's no doubt about it. But he's one of the guys that has to improve. For this offense to be better, he's one of the 4. Along with Adolis and Leote and Jonah Heim.
Yep. Very good. So we've got more coming up as we continue to talk baseball on this Thursday afternoon. We'll get to our batting cleanup segment. Got a lot to clean up. Ab's got some really interesting stuff about what Tampa Bay is going to do. Of course, we continue the Soto saga and so much more next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. So I'm upset. I thought I had a unicorn here. This shirt doesn't have any letters on it. whereas most of our DLLS shirts have letters on them. This one just has the flag, which I really like. And it's not a unicorn. They sell this one, and I think you want to buy it because, like, people will go, "Wait, what?" And then, but those who know, and I like that. I like that about a shirt when it's just like little understated. You know,
we call it stealth wealth.
Yeah, I like that.
When you don't say it, but you know.
But you know.
If you know, you know.
You know. Go to store.allcitynetwork.com and you could know. And you could have one of these or one of the ones like Jeff's wearing. Abs doesn't have any merch on today, but it's all great stuff. It's all high quality. It's all fantastic. And it's really not that expensive. So I got that one, too, that Jeff has there. I really like that one. It pops, man. It pops. So store.allcitynetwork.com and get your merchandise today.
Fellas, 98 days away.
Spring training? Wow.
That's the one. Somebody on Twitter asked me, are you guys going to go?
Yes. Yeah.
We're hopeful.
Yeah.
We're living on a prayer. No, but.
I mean, I'm going.
Jeff will go.
Don't rub it in our face.
I mean, don't worry. We'll get it ironed out. But
what a fun trip that would be if you guys came with us.
Yeah.
Anyway, sign up and, join the events that we're going to have. Next season's going to be fun. We're probably going to do something at the field, maybe a watch along one day if the Rangers are on the road, like some sports bar Jeff has a connection with. So join the fun. Upgrade your fandom. $79.99 a year.
Yeah.
It's like 2 Whataburgers at Globe Life Field.
And you get a free shirt.
Free shirt, 20% off of events and shirts. Thank you.
It's a great idea. And so is our batting cleanup segment because it gives us an opportunity to clean up a lot of stuff that's going on in the world of baseball. So where do we start today, Abs? Where do we go?
Well, we mentioned yesterday that the city of St. Petersburg has a few options. They could either pay $55 million, to fix the roof, and it still wouldn't really be fixed until 2026, or the city could just decline and then keep that budget for the renovation of 2028 and their whole new project, because Tampa doesn't play in Tampa. So they're kind of going to play in Tampa.
Right, which is cool. Baseball fans in the Tampa Bay area are going to love this. They're going to play
at Steinbrenner Field. So the Yankees will gain around $15 million in additional revenue in their agreement.
The rich
get richer.
Wow.
So we can make a few jokes here. The largest salary on the Rays payroll for next season, number 1, the New York Yankees. Number 2, Brandon Lowe. So it's just kind of funny, how that's going to work out. But also, I mean, hey, I'm gonna be open to all of the rumors that I hear and see on Twitter. We're continuing the Soto saga in this segment as well, because how funny would it be for Soto? You start spring training at this place, and then, hey, you're gonna play here for the regular season next year. I don't know about that. And then 2, let's just tie the bow even more. 2 teams in Major League Baseball are going to be playing at minor league stadiums in 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they are. You've got the Athletics.
A's.
We don't the A's.
The A's.
We don't call them Oakland.
I'm calling them the. I may even keep calling them Oakland.
You know what? We should call them Little A.
The Little A's.
Little A's. The Little A's.
I
like
league.
that. They're in a little stadium. They're the Little A's. And so you got. But here's what I liked about the Yankees. And again, I mean, I don't want to make too much of a big deal out of a billionaire like Hal Steinbrenner, but. He came out with a statement that said, hey, in something like this, he said the family, the Steinbrenner family and the Yankees have, long-term ties to the Tampa area. And we put rivalries aside and we won. Now, again, we put rivalries aside for $50 million, but we put rivalries aside and we want to make sure that the Rays and their fans have someplace to go. And this is a place, and you should go to spring training both in Arizona and Florida if you ever get the chance. But that's a great, I remember when that stadium was built, and it's made to kind of mirror what Yankee Stadium looks like on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's a great, it's the best spring training stadium in Florida. and it ranks up there with the best in all of spring training stadiums. Although where the Diamondbacks play has something to say about it.
Salt talking stick at Salt River
Fields of talking.
For the most part, the ballparks in Arizona are newer.
Yeah,
or have been renovated. Like Scottsdale Stadium, where the Giants play, it's small and it's really inconvenient where it is, and they don't have a lot of room for their minor league teams. It's been renovated since when I was going as a kid from Colorado. We'd drive down every year. It was pretty dumpy. It's nice now. Surprise Stadium's great where the Rangers play, but most of these stadiums are shared. The Rockies and the Giants, or the Rockies and the D-backs are their shared talking stick. The Yankees are the only team that plays in
its own
stadium in Florida, but that's not unusual. In Florida, there aren't many shared facilities, and a spring training in Florida is so much different because A, it rains a lot, and two, you might be on a road game. You might have a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, there's a long distance.
Arizona. Yeah. Now that Tucson's out of the way, your longest drive's an hour, depending on traffic. But so they're spread out. Arizona's nice and quaint and all together. Phoenix area, but Florida, yeah, it's all over. Fort Myers, West Palm Beach, driving across the Alligator Alley to get to games, things like that. So anyway,
a couple of teams in the Orlando area, Lakeland, where the Tigers are.
Yeah.
Kissimmee.
I know my way around
Astros
Florida.
Still in Kissimmee?
They're in West Palm now.
They're in West Palm now. Okay. Yeah.
All right, I got another one.
Yeah.
It is football season, as we know, and Wrigley Field's getting a little bit of a makeover this weekend.
Wrigley?
Yep.
Where the Notre Dame Fighting Irish playing there or something?
Northwestern versus Ohio State.
Oh yeah, I heard about
this weekend.
Because Northwestern's been playing in their soccer stadium,
right?
Yep.
Right.
Because they're renovating their football stadium. I remember that starting in November they were going to play their home games at Wrigley Field. That's cool.
Doesn't look like they've really padded much. Somebody on Twitter said, terrified for anybody crashing into the brick wall trying to catch a touchdown pass.
Oh.
So we'll see.
They used to play there.
Yeah.
Old time NFL.
Yeah.
Games were played there. Games used to be played at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
The Polo Grounds.
Yeah.
So it's
all the old timers were multi-use facilities.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And,
that's cool though.
But stadium's already done. And that's another thing. So we talked about spring training, opening day. Next.
Yeah.
March 27th, earlier and earlier each year, boys. Doubleheader. So we've got Brewers at Yankees, 3 p.m., and then the Tigers and the Dodgers at 7 p.m.
Wow. And what day is March 27th? A Thursday?
Haven't looked that
Do
far
we know?
ahead.
Let's look.
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it probably a Thursday? It's weird though. They've changed the days on which they start. It's Thursday. Yeah, they've changed the days on which they always started it on a Tuesday, I think, and then they switched it to Friday as kind of the opening
people can
day.
Get off work,
which is, I'm sure there's some thought behind that. But and don't forget, there will be games in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dodgers' first game of the year that counts in their major league record won't be that one against the Tigers.
Yeah.
Who did the Dodgers play in Japan? Do we remember? I can't recall, but it's definitely the Dodgers. They're the draw. They're the reason because
somebody with bad attendance because typically the team that the other team is a team that is giving away home dates
Cubs.
Because that's
they do have
interesting.
good attendance.
All right,
okay,
so,
yeah. But you know what? So that's a good draw. I mean,
that's why
March
that's why the A's are always the team because the A's were very happy to get the gate in Japan as opposed to the gate they were going to get for a home game. So Cubs and Dodgers. All right. That's good.
I went to the chat and asked if they had any questions. Kelly Mann said diamond proceedings and what effect on Rangers. What is the word?
John, you can handle that one.
Yeah, so Bally has emerged from bankruptcy. That came down from the judge today. It will have zero effect on the Rangers. And because I have a lot of friends at Bally, I was hoping that somehow there would still be an olive branch, right? There would still be a chance for the Rangers, who haven't yet decided where their games will be. But I can say with certainty, they have begun to build their television broadcast department. Several of my friends have been hired over there, and there is a department in the works. And so it won't be Bally, or now it's called FanDuel Sports. There are 6 major league teams which are still aligned with FanDuel Sports, formerly Bally, and they're going to try to keep as many NBA and NHL teams as they can. The reality is likely that FanDuel Sports will not be long for this marketplace, because they don't have the Mavericks anymore and they don't have the Stars anymore. Each of them have done a lot and spent a lot to create their own thing, and now the Rangers are doing the same thing.
And those other, Bally MLB teams, like the Reds just put out a statement 5 minutes ago, MLB to produce and distribute local games for the Reds. So there is 6, I think.
Now 7. I think 7 are going to be produced.
7. And look,
baseball.
I believe that I believe there are people at Diamond Sports who think that MLB option could be a stopgap, and that those teams would be potential players in the Bally or in the the FanDuel quiver come to down the road. The one thing that's interesting about the 6 that will be with FanDuel is that those teams have given FanDuel or Diamond in this case the streaming rights. It's huge. I mean, it's really everything. If that was like the missing piece for what was frustrating so many fans here, was that you couldn't get them on cable because Bally was not on the biggest cable provider here, and you couldn't stream them. And so that meant for so many people in the Metroplex, you couldn't watch them. And obviously that was extremely frustrating. Apparently they've worked that out. The people at Diamond at the very top, they know what they're doing, right? They really do. And it's unfortunate that it took so long. I don't think they would have had to lose as many teams as they did, but they had no control over what the bankruptcy judge was going to do. They had to get the pieces in place, but getting FanDuel involved and getting Amazon, that's where the streaming comes from. Getting Amazon and FanDuel involved was a huge part of this process. And so, it's going to live. I mean, FanDuel Sports will be out there, and it'll be producing games, and it'll be, a lot of the same people in those markets that have been on Bally, and depending on how long they've been there, on Fox Sports, whatever, Kansas City, St. Louis, I think. Those Midwest ones, those are all going to remain for now on FanDuel. So you don't have to worry about it, Rangers fans. There will be games. They will be somewhere else. We'll probably be the first ones to let you know where they're going to be. We're working on that now.
Great. So, It's a big one. It's
huge.
It's a big,
and again,
big thing that has to
the
be
reality is, the reality is that it's going to cost a lot of money to get this network up and running, right? They're no doubt going to operate at a loss this first year, startup costs and so forth. But ultimately, they've done the math, they've crunched the numbers, and they feel like they can make as much money, meaning the Rangers, doing this themselves and selling the advertising as they made when Bally Diamond was giving them $110 million a year. Yeah. They feel like look, Bally gave them $110 million a year, and before everything went south, was still making money, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like, the model is there. You can make money doing this. Things went really south in the way that the Bally people, and not just them, really all the regional sports networks were not prepared for the streaming aspect of this to happen as quickly as it did. Yeah. And that's where it kind of fell through the cracks. So
there
you go. Ardell asked, what is your favorite National and American League stadiums to attend?
Favorite National League is Pittsburgh. It's beautiful. Now when you want to put the whole package together, including the city and location, San Diego's the runaway winner. Downtown, bars are right across the street, hotels right across the street. Favorite American League ballpark to visit, it's probably, I don't know, because like Seattle's a nice park, but it's freezing there. I can't stand the cold. I do like going to Boston. I think Boston's pretty neat.
I was going to say too, my favorite park. If you're just asking favorite park, Fenway for sure.
Yeah.
In the American League. And I have not been to Pittsburgh, which kills me. So
I do like the
it's beautiful.
skyline.
yeah,
It's
my
beautiful.
favorite
Yeah.
my favorite National League park, if you're just talking park, would be Wrigley. But
Yeah.
agree with you on San Diego.
Yeah.
I got on that trip a bunch.
Yeah,
And the
and then I love DC too. So I always enjoy it.
yeah, I never
I get up and go to the museums. And
Yeah,
then go to the
I do
ballpark.
too. I
It's,
do the
it's,
same
it's not a ballpark thing. It's a
no,
It's a
that's
DC
there's
thing.
nothing about that stadium.
Yeah,
That's
it's too
worth. I
remarkable.
mean, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's
It's
just
fine,
a
right.
stadium. Yeah.
Natalie asked a couple questions. She asked what kind of who will lead off. I think Marcus is the leader in the clubhouse for that, or not?
Josh Smith. Yeah.
And then she asked about what bats are they going to be looking forward to, which we didn't get to. We can get into it a little bit more tomorrow, next week. But I'm thinking left-handed hitting outfielders to help against right-handed pitching. Guys like Michael Conforto. I wrote about this, last week. Michael Conforto, Jock Peterson, Mike Yastrzemski. And I think Uncle Ted had said that the Rangers should get a right-handed hitting catcher. Jonah Heim is actually better as a right-handed hitting catcher. So I think the Yankees or the Rangers, Jesus, are looking for people for the backup to Jonah to be somebody who hits right-handers. Right-handers
so a
better.
left-handed
hitting catcher,
backup catcher.
or just a guy who bats right-handed and is good against right-handers. Because Jonah, if you look at his career splits, and look at his splits this year, it's pretty significant how much better he is as a right-handed hitter.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else? We got any more questions we want to get to? You see any up there you like? Go ahead and pop them in.
Any guests? Well, next week we're having 2.
We
Yeah.
are having guests next week.
Next
2
week
guests
we'll have
next week.
guests. Thanks, Ardell, for asking. Are we
Are we
going to
gonna say
announce the
'em?
guests?
Yeah,
let's
you
go
can
ahead.
announce 'em.
Yeah.
Tuesday. Tony Tuesday.
It's going to be a Tony Tuesday. We're going to have Tony Beasley on. He'll join us from home. I assume he's in Virginia. Yeah, have you talked?
Virginia.
Yeah, it'll be an online interview,
Yeah.
but you will get the Tony Tuesday live
you're going to love to
from
hear.
Tony Beasley
You're going to
himself.
love to hear what Tony does in the off season in the family
Yeah.
business.
Yeah,
It's-
that's great.
It's fantastic. We'll get him to talk all about that. And
then
on Thursday, this is
Thursday,
exciting. Really,
We're going to have former Rangers pitcher Joe Nathan.
Joe Nathan, one of the best interviews we've seen around here. That
Yeah.
guy's just buttoned up and great and fun and funny.
He got it. He understood it.
Totally.
How to deal with the media and all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Always good with the media.
So, any questions that you would
Yeah.
like us to ask either of those guys, shoot them our way on Twitter or send them to us directly, and we'll definitely try to get some of those in.
Yeah, we're going to be having guests pretty much every week. The rest of the off season till
Ardell said get
spring
Scherzer
training.
on.
If
Get
Max Scherzer resigns, we'll bring him on.
Yeah, sure, sir. We'd have to do 2 hours.
We
if
might.
we had Scherzer.
We
on.
might. I mean, we can talk about anything with that guy.
Yeah, we'd have to do 2 hours if we had Max on. So that would be fun. Awesome. So great, guys. We appreciate the chat. We appreciate the questions. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you hanging out with us for lunch each and every day. And we're going to do it again one more time this week, tomorrow at noon. Abs isn't going to be here with us, so it's just going to be Jeff and I. But still, we're going to have fun. You can have fun. Join us at noon again tomorrow for another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.